Hi, you guys. Good morning. I've got my coffee with my butter inside of the coffee. Trying this thing, you guys. Trying it. I lost a few pounds. A few full pounds. I can't believe it. All right. I wanted to talk to you this morning about reproductive freedom and what our California Constitution says. But I also want to talk a little bit about the FBI and how they're using a specific law against our rights. So, California Proclamation on Reproductive Freedom guarantees women control over their bodies, privacy regarding their most intimate choices, and the right to choose whether or not to terminate a pregnancy. Okay. But also, it has the right to bear children in here. These rights, recognized time and again in California jurisprudence, law, and policy, are critical to women's autonomy and liberty, and to ensuring that women have an equal role in our social and civic life, which they don't in California, because if you are adopted, you don't have these rights. These rights can be subverted through conservatorship. All right. And then if your parents are a different religion, they can literally sell your rights to other people through a complex scheme with name changes and fake marriages. In 1969, more than 3 years before the United States Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade, the California Supreme Court recognized that the fundamental right of women to choose whether to bear children is protected by the U.S. Constitution. You hear me right here? But they're stealing women's ovaries, so they don't have the right to bear children. They're picking and choosing which women they target through conservators or, actual ownership as slaves. So they're not actually upholding their own laws right here. In 1972, the people of California recognized the significance of a woman's right to choose by amending the California Constitution to enshrine a right to privacy. California enacted the Reproductive Privacy Act, RPA, which makes the fundamental right to choose to bear a child or to choose and obtain an abortion the official policy. So the fundamental right to choose to bear a child is subverted if they're stealing ovaries. But they are stealing ovaries in California, and they're chasing you to London to steal ovaries through USC. So, this is there's another law I'm going to go into. For more than 20 years, California's Family Planning Access Care and Treatment Program and Medi-Cal have provided funding for comprehensive family planning to millions of low-income Californians. California provides state funding to ensure that abortion services are available to low-income women. California has recognized that Guttmacher Institute, GI, as the state with the strongest protections of rights to reproductive freedom. As rights around the country enact extreme laws that violate the fundamental rights of women, California will continue to uphold women's equality and liberty by protecting their reproductive freedom, educating Californians about their rights to reproductive freedom, welcoming women to California to fully exercise their reproductive rights, and acting as a model for other states. All right. So here are these two things too. Okay, so I, Gavin Newsom, governor and, to me, committer of torture and genocide of the state of California, do hereby issue the California Proclamation of Reproductive Freedom to educate women of their reproductive rights as recognized in the Constitution and law. Constitutional right to privacy, Article 1, Section 1 of the California Constitution guarantees that privacy is an inalienable right enjoyed by all Californians. The right of privacy includes a woman's right to choose. Statutory right to choose. California's Reproductive Privacy Act prohibits the state of California from denying or interfering with a woman's right to choose or obtain an abortion prior to fetal viability. or after fetal viability to protect the life and health of the woman. So basically, they get to decide this part. Like, they can say, oh, the woman's crazy, They can say a lot of things, right? So this is like weird. But it says, California Reproductive Privacy Act prohibits the state of California from denying or interfering with a woman's right to choose to have a baby. Choose to have a baby. Yet they're stealing women's ovaries, depriving them rights to education, keeping them enslaved to steal their ovaries. I mean, because there's an FBI law that sort of seems to allow kind of an anything goes mentality. All right. Young women's right to choose guarantees that young women do not have to secure parental or judicial consent in order to obtain an abortion. This right protects the most vulnerable. Okay. Keeps women safe by avoiding back alley abortions. Right to access. Should not be dependent on the ability to pay. Access to maternity. Covered California plans provide equal access to maternity and abortion services. Okay, what does that mean? What does this mean? It is so loose. It's vague on its face. They can use this in any way they want. Right to maternity, right? Access to maternity. Access to someone else's body parts who is a viable breeder, basically. Further, California uses state funds to ensure that abortion services are available. All right. You guys, I'm not looking at this in terms of abortion. I'm looking at California depriving women the right to have birth by putting them in conservatorships, torturing them, stalking them through a systemic system of targeting that goes through the LAPD and the schools. So California is actually the worst state. That is why I say be careful coming here. While many states have imposed medically unnecessary requirements on clinicians who provide abortions, California has taken the opposite approach. This is why it's happening in California. California allows Medi-Cal patients to seek abortion care services from any qualified Medi-Cal provider. California also permits advanced practice clinicians, including nurse practitioners, which my mother is, certified nurse midwives, and physician assistants with specialized training to perform early abortion care. This policy increases the number of trained health professionals who provide early abortions and expands access to the many rural Californians in areas without physicians. Right to confidentiality. In exercising choice, California recognizes that abortion providers and others, plastic surgeons, who assist women in exercising their right to choose often face harassment, threats, and acts of violence. California law protects the personal information of these individuals as well as that of the patients themselves. Further, an individual may choose to have an abortion without consent or involvement of their parent. Okay. This is not the only law. Let me show you the FBI law. Let's go to the FBI. FBI access to clinics. Okay, you guys, this is a very important law. You need to know about it. And this is why, if you have to have plastic surgery, not knowing this, it can hurt you. All right. Okay, so this is weird. Sorry, this can't move. The FBI has helped protect civil rights of the American people, which they don't. They keep them in peonage because on one of my marriage records, basically, it says I'm married to this man that's actually an FBI agent. But, I mean, is the man also my father? I don't know, because he changed his name and married me on paper in a different county. But experts in peonage is the modern day equivalent of slavery. So what they do is they set up bankruptcies and set up fines and fees that you don't actually owe with the banks. So you wouldn't ever know that you owe the money unless you knew how to look for the money. And then they kill you on paper over and over again. I mean, the amount of death records I found related to myself and the different names they're using is ridiculous. And then they put you in probate, so you don't, I mean, probate's its own form, but it's still denying your rights, and they're doing it to steal. This is the one. FBI is primary federal agency responsible for investigating allegations regarding violations of federal civil rights statutes, but they don't. We told the FBI what was happening, and though they raided the city, they never talked about the reproductive rights because of the way the law is written. All right. Using its full sight of investigative and intelligence capabilities, meaning stalking, the Bureau today works closely with its partners to prevent and address hate crime, color of law violations, and freedom of access to clinic entrances. But they don't. If you tell them that you had a fake, like a hate crime, even with one of their own agents, because one of their own agents was targeting me, they won't look into it. So this is bullshit, period. So priority issues. The Bureau of Civil Rights investigates hate crimes, color of law violations. They don't investigate. And access to clinic entrances, FACE, right? So here we go. Preventing abuse of this authority. These powers include the authority to detain and arrest subjects, to search and seize property, to bring criminal charges, to make rulings in court, and use deadly force in certain situations to make money. Okay, so let's go here. I mean, they're attacking good people that the parents, my parents aren't my parents. They're some form of conservators. My real name is a weird name, and my parents don't have the names that I know my parents, those aren't their real names. All right, so when you're suing someone, you have to sue under their real names, but they withhold again and again, like the real names, so you can't sue. You wouldn't have legal standing to sue a fictitious name, for example. Freedom of access to clinic entrances. So David Gunn, a physician who provided abortion services, was murdered. Now, our friends were the Gunns, Gunn. Growing up, they had a kayaking club that I wasn't really in. But again, death threats, stalking, and vandalism. In response to the alarming trend, the U.S. Congress enacted the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances FACE Act. This, often referred to by its acronym, makes it a federal crime to injure, intimidate, or interfere with those seeking to obtain or provide reproductive health care services. Okay, look at the way this is written. Obtain or provide. You want someone's eggs? You can't intimidate or interfere with them taking the eggs or the ovaries, which leave people sick. Now, leaving people sick shows that deprivation of medical care, because those people should get ovaries back. They should get ovaries back because they're very sick from it. Deprivation of medical care. And by the way, if anyone's had their ovaries taken, testosterone is the only thing that it's like you're the last hormone to leave, right? So first estrogen and estradiol leave, then progesterone, then testosterone. So try to get some of that in you. It can help a great deal. That's it.